I don't think I've ever told anybody this before.
So you've been in it from the beginning, right? Pokemon?
Yeah, well, not necessarily from the beginning. I started in 1998.
Mhm.
Well, the beginning of the English, of course, but
Yeah.
I actually, before there was any English, I was involved in 1998 in the Japanese. I mean, once again, my instincts kicked in. I just knew that Pokemon was going to be hot.
Yeah.
So I helped. I had a hand in bringing those to the United States.
How so?
Well, through the CD promos, the Japanese ones. Before there was an English release, there was Japanese cards. We brought them over. I was part of the financing and put them on the home shopping network of the day.
Hi, I'm Betty Lee. Welcome back to Shop at Home. Also, welcome back to the only place on the globe to get the most collectible thing on the globe, and that is Pokemon PSA graded cards.
So this was really like the first appearance of Pokemon over here in America?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. They were all PSA graded.
Yeah.
Got them all PSA graded. I remember some of the sets sold for about, they were $999.
Is this the lowest price? It's the only place you can find it?
We did about 5,000 sets of them in PSA 10, and we had PSA 9s also.
Yeah.
And those sets ended up, there were so many, and we were charging so much for the time that those went way down in value. And it's only this last year those have gone up to the point that they're worth what they were in 1998, 1999. So it took a while to recover, but they did.
That reminds me of the original second anniversary Japanese birthday Pikachu.
Yes, I have stories about that too.
In 99, 2000, whatever it was, my dad and I were huge into Pokemon. Books A Million every Tuesday night, hundreds of kids there. Some were playing, most were just trading.
Yes.
And we got wind of the elusive birthday Pikachu, and it was sold as much rarer than apparently it was.
Yeah, this was pre-English release, pre-English Black Star.
Yeah, the White Star. Yeah, it was like the first White Star card I've ever seen.
Yeah, the Japanese one. Yeah, I can tell you that when those first came out, again, I was one of the very first to have them back then. They came in sticker packs, and we graded, hundreds and hundreds of them. And the price on release on eBay and Yahoo Auctions USA, which there used to be.
I remember that.
I sold on there. And the PSA 9 birthday Pikachus we sold for $400. The sticker packs ungraded we sold for $400. And the PSA 10 examples we sold for $1,000. There was one guy years ago, I can't remember his name, but he bought about 500 of the sticker packs and stuck them in his vault or wherever he kept things. And I've never heard from him since. Those didn't resurface, so maybe he still has them, but going to be a find on someday.
So the open sticker packs, or with the card actually still in it? Or?
With the card still in it, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
But you're right. Those sticker packs, they could be opened gently and the card taken out, then resealed. They could be.
Yeah, I always viewed the Japanese one as the real one. Like I see the new Black Star well, not new, geez, but newer Black Star promo one, and it just doesn't do it for me like the older one did. But it's way surpassed it in value, I guess, because of the pop reports and.
Right. Well, the girl who illustrated that, Himeno, I mean, she's terrific. I mean, she is probably my favorite Pokemon artist, and I actually have her 2000 Tropical Mega Battle name tag from the tournament in Hawaii. I actually have her name tag where she autographed it, and but yeah, she did some really super iconic cards. But the birthday Pikachu, when you tell me birthday Pikachu, that's the one that comes to my mind. That's the first one I think of. I know a lot of people would see the base copy, but I see the birthday Pikachu, and she drew it, and it's still probably my top 2 favorite artworks.
Well, that begs the question: what's the other one?
The base Venusaur might be my all-time favorite. I just love that guy. The big mouth and I always say it just makes me want to jump on and ride him or grab his face and shake his face. I love the base set Venusaur.
That's interesting. Blastoise and Charizard have always had the fanfare.
Yes, true.
Don't think it's well.
Venusaur was pretty much always number 3.
Yeah,
out of the base set. But I think these days the Chansey has kind of caught it.
Mm. Okay, so you like Venusaur because of the pug face. So that means you'd have to like Blastoise second most because he kind of has a pug face going on too.
Yeah, but I think just the individual. Yeah, Venusaur is my favorite Pokemon for sure. Mm. And then if I don't say Charizard, as my second favorite, I think everybody would hate me because I have such a Charizard collection. So I'm going to say Charizard's my second favorite. But the artwork, that base Venusaur is first, and then the birthday Pikachu is second.
Mm. Good picks.
Yeah.
What's your top 3 Charizards for you?
Okay, for me, of course, once again, I gotta say the base, the base Charizard, because that's the one that holds so many family memories. My boys who were pre 10 years old when the English ones came out. That was the big one to have, and that's the one that they treasured. And I would, at the time, I would live vicariously through them. And so I would have to say the base Charizard would be number 1. I always liked the Dark Charizard too, the Team Rocket Dark Charizard. Yeah. Just because it was different, just because when you look at that card, when I look at that card, it makes me feel a little edgy.
Yeah.
So I would say that'd be my second favorite, and then probably the Thompson greenback, blueback cards, from the mid '90s. I always liked that artwork too on the Charizards.
Yeah.
So I would, yeah.
The burnt wing on the
right. Yes. With that full frontal view and.
Yeah, it's probably the first ever Sugimori art put onto a card of Charizard, or the first art of Charizard ever. Would that be right, or?
Well, there's of course there's no way to 100% be sure, but I know a little bit about that because in 1998 I got a lot of Japanese cards.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think I've ever told anybody this before. Yeah, I've been asked a lot of times about what I thought was the first Charizard, but I never really gave a full answer to it. But I guess I can tell you what I think. I got a lot of binders, Japanese kids binders, collections. And many times you can tell by the way we set up everybody set up their binders, what came first, what was put in second, what came in third, and on and on. And I can tell you, and again, this is the first time I've ever said this, almost every single one of those kids binders, Japanese kids binders that I got a hold of back then, almost every one had the base 1996 base unlimited, or the base Japanese cards first, and then the greenbacks were always second, and then the bluebacks were always third in the binders, and the bluebacks would have a sprinkling of the no number examples. mixed in with the blueback, ones. Some have numbers, some don't have numbers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had to make an educated guess, I would say the greenbacks were first, just because they always came first in the binders, and then when things got re-released, they put them in next. And
well,
off the top of my head, I don't recall if I ever saw any no number greenbacks. Do you know?
No, there are only no number bluebacks, and that's
right. So
that's why I thought the bluebacks were first, because just like you look at Red Cheeks Pikachu, they changed the art to yellow, and thus the unlimited ones were yellow. So that's how we know Red Cheeks was first. So I figured that the no number ones, they go in later. They say, oh, well, we need to put some numbers on these things, and thus you have blueback no numbers, and then greenback. That was my thinking on it.
And that's not an unreasonable thing to think. If I wasn't so familiar with those binders that many years ago, I probably had about 20, 30 different binders from that were were put together by Japanese kids in Japan back then. And I would say all but one or two had the greenbacks next to the base on them, the base set. So to me, that kind of told me that it followed the original base set, even though the year on it is 1995. The copyright line I know is 1995, but why I can see it. The green, in my guess, would be the greenbacks were first, and then the bluebacks, and then the base set. But why was the base set always at the front of the binder, and then the greenbacks, and then the bluebacks? Why was it like that? And
what direction do they read? I don't want to sound ignorant, but do they read in the same direction we do, Japanese? Because I know the mangas are usually backwards.
Well, wait a second. Let me think for a second. Because I think there's some that goes in both, one direction, and others go in a different direction, in the opposite direction. On the cards, I'm really not sure. Yeah, really not sure. I maybe I knew at one time, but the older you get, the more you forget. So, so I don't know. It's kind of fun to wonder that. I've had some great friends and business partners in Japan that I've discussed this with, and it's totally an I don't know response. A totally, well, I don't know, who paid attention to that,
Yeah.
We as collectors, we're curious, we want to know all those little nuances.
Yeah. I want to know what the first print run was.
Right. Yes. Well, Media Factory can't help. I tried. Media Factory produced all the subsequent sets. But, I've never been able to, go only by what I saw myself.
So what do you think? Well, first of all, do you know of anybody else that we could lead to possibly investigate more? Or? Yeah,
well, I think one of the preeminent experts back in the day with me was Eddie Brenneschultz, who's his handle is eBirdman.
Okay, yeah.
And he's been around. Him and I pretty much came up together, and we must have done 1,000 deals together. Plus, when Pokemon fell off in the in the early 2000s, early to mid, it was him and I that were doing everything we could to keep the hobby alive. We brought PSA into the English picture of the English cards, and so he was around then. Plus, he was even a bigger enthusiast than me of the Topson and the Bandai and those type sets. So I don't recall how he feels about it, but he's very interested in those. if I were you, I would get his opinion. I'd be interested to hear his opinion because he's very much into the no numbers and the blue backs and I don't think there's any question the blue backs hold more values. Yeah, he'd be a good one for you guys to talk to.
Okay.
And he would probably totally disagree with me. I don't know, but he probably would because I know he puts a lot more value on the blue backs. But it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see why he would feel that way. So he'd be a good guy to talk to. But yeah, I would go with Eddie. With most people call him Ed or E-Birdman.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to reach out to him. That'd be continued. Yeah, that'd be cool. I got something the other day that can I show it to you? It was kind of a grail card for me.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
All right.
Yes.
I didn't prepare for this. One second.
See, we have the Las Vegas Raiders coming. They play their first game Sunday. So, I live in Las Vegas, so.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm wondering when sports comes back, I'm wondering if that will have any effect at all on the market. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. I just see it. Some people maybe getting back into sports or whatever, but all right, you ready?
Yeah, I think well, let me tell you one thing first, since you brought up the sports thing. Yeah. I'm afraid there's been a bit of a loss of interest in the sports thing, not only during this, but also because of some of the way that the teams and players are responding to our current events. It's almost like our daily lives and the trials and tribulations of our daily lives and our escape, which was sports, is starting to blend into our, into the problems of our daily lives. And so I don't see as much enthusiasm. I didn't even watch the Kansas City Chiefs game last night. And we love Mahomes. I didn't even watch it. I just wasn't that interested. I'm feeling that, that might be true of a lot of people. So sports, because of a little bit of a lack of general interest, I don't think that's going to put the brakes on our Pokemon hobby at all.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That is frustrating. This is definitely turning out to be an election year. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But back to the good things in life.
Yeah.
My grail card right here. No, I'm kidding. I got the.
I was gonna say, what the heck?
I found.
You got a no number. See, that's my third favorite artwork right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The no number. Where did you get that?
I patiently scoured eBay for a very long time, and I found one from PWCC Vault, which they only had 3 ratings, and they were associating themselves with PWCC. So I was pretty skeptical. I was gonna do an unboxing, but I was freaked out about the whole thing, so I just ripped it open as soon as I got it. But
right.
But I love the no.
You bought it graded?
Yeah, I bought it graded.
You bought it graded. Yeah.
Yeah, there are 3 8s. So
Oh, okay. How many 9s are there? Or 10s?
I think there are 7 9s and there are no 10s. And
okay.
And there's about almost 20 throughout graded, which is, obviously the highest population of the no number cards.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that shows you right there because, there's like only 1 graded no number Chansey, but there's almost 20 of these. So that'll show you from the very beginning, it was clear who people liked. So
very, very much so. That's a real beauty. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know about these guys, a month ago even, and then I saw the PSA 10 blueback Pikachu sell on eBay. It wasn't even a no number. It was, a numbered one. It sold for like $2,600 or something.
Wow.
And I started thinking, what is this? So I started looking into them a lot, and I had to sell a lot of pretty cards to get that one, but
Right.
it makes me happy though. If I can have a shelf of my favorite cards as opposed to a wall.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well,
But,
that is just super.
thank you. Yeah.
I don't have one.
Well, I heard you okay, so I saw an interview you had 99 Charizards, is that right? Or
Well, I have more than that. I have right now I have 94 PSA 10 Charizards.
Okay.
All different types. Like I have a PSA 10 numbered, numbered one, numbered greenback. Yeah, I think most of those I put on that little show, pony show auction that I have on eBay.
I checked those out a couple hours ago, yeah.
Yeah, it shows those. There's I think I have 94 PSA 10s, but I have quite a few other Charizards also. But I don't have a no number. I don't have a no number one. So
Yeah, I had to get it. If I didn't get it, I didn't think I would. So it was
Wow,
one of those things.
that is so nice.
Well, what do you feel about the prices right now? What do you think? What do you think's going on?
Well, it's funny. I was just talking. D. Bruce was just at my house a couple hours ago with my oldest son, and we were talking about that. I said in a recent interview that I could see starting in the next couple months, I could see a little leveling off and maybe 20% drop in Pokemon values over the next year.
Yeah.
But he sees it completely differently. He sees it that with the 25th anniversary coming up, and with all the sports people starting to get into the hobby, he sees not only not a leveling off, but an increase in all these in these cards. I'm starting to wonder if I was wrong or not, because maybe there won't be a decline, a little decline. 20% was my guess, a couple months ago. This just keeps going up, and
Do you feel like it kind of like the genie's out of the bottle now? Is that?
I think so. I mean the interest is not waning.
Yeah.
And I think it's gone way behind, or I think it's gone way beyond the people sitting at home or getting, stimulus checks, which I never thought had anything to do with it anyway.
Yeah.
But it seems to be more than that. And so if you're a seller, I'm not much of a seller. I'm a lot more of a collector than I am a seller. If you're a seller, then if you're a buyer, this is not a good sign, because things just keep going up, and we're going to be paying more and more money. And whether you paid $2,000 for your no number Charizard, or in a month from now you'd have to pay $3,000, you're probably still going to buy it, but you're going to take a hit. It's going to go higher. So
Yeah, you're behind a month. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I think there have been a few catalysts.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pokemon Go let everybody remember it was okay to be a kid again, and rediscover your love of these things.
Yes.
I think one day on my lunch break,
Mm-hmm.
I came home, sat down, watched a little YouTube, made a sandwich, and my dad had visited prior, and we watched some Pawn Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Recommended Charizard collection, yada yada. Clicked on that.
People pay that for these.
And I was, whoa. So I immediately called my parents, said, please tell me you still have my cards. And so I think, there's over 10 million views on that. I think that's
just on the History Channel one.
Yeah,
there's more views on other things. Yeah. Well, they say it's the second most viewed segment in the history of Pawn Stars.
Yeah. Wow.
Second most viewed. And, they have over 2,000 segments.
With celebrities and all sorts of.
Yeah, I know. Right. Right.
Well,
And
that
little old me in Pokemon, actually got to number 2.
So I think you're a legitimate, yeah, you're one of the factors. It is what it is. I mean, we're all part of that, but it took you going in there and doing that.
That was my whole purpose too.
Yeah.
In fact, my whole purpose since 2003 was to promote this hobby. And just about everything I do is to try to put a positive, light on the hobby. And Pawn Stars, I never would have sold my collection, right?
Right.
But which is why I priced it at the time that would be about retail, and I knew they wouldn't pay retail.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gone down, so I wasn't going to lose my collection. But to promote the hobby, at least I had a little bit of foresight, knowing a lot of people see this, and Pokemon Go had just come out for a while. Mm-hmm. We filmed this in I think it was November 2016, and just before that, was the Pokemon Go, and so it was kind of hot, and wanted to bring it to more people, and so that's why I did it. I also did almost everything I do. This interview with you, of course I check you out and everything, and I'm proud to be on here. And the whole reason was to help. You're trying to help the hobby. The reason you're doing this is to promote the hobby, and that's all I care about. And so, I would say this is just an extension of that. My interview with Anthony Padilla. I don't know if you saw that one, but Anthony Padilla from Smosh fame. He was like the original OG. He was the top YouTuber in the mid 2000s.
I remember it the early days. Yeah.
And now he does. He has like 5 million followers. I mean, 5 million subscribers. Even today. That's why I drove down to Los Angeles to do his interview. Was because he reached a lot of people that were your age, in your age range, and they were into Pokemon at the time, though they had grown up and forgotten about Pokemon. But this going on his show brought them back into it. And my other purpose for doing a lot of those promotions and appearances and stuff was to get the parents back interested, because especially the Pawn Stars episode, it made the parents who were watching it for the other content, it made them think, boy, there's something to this Pokemon. Hey, Junior, come here, take care of those cards. Let me see what cards you got there. Yeah. Go on eBay. Let's see what kind of values. In other words, it kind of sucked the parents in and made them interested, because they saw what $500,000 collection. Well, wait a second. This isn't kids play anymore, right? Yeah. And so that was the other that was probably my primary reason, was to get the parents back into Pokemon or into Pokemon, and share it, because I shared it with my kids, and that was those are treasured moments. And I'll tell you, I guess I've just been lucky, because those steps all worked out, and it's really benefited the hobby.
Yeah. It blew my mind when I saw that video, because I remember a few years after I stopped collecting, my dad and a friend and we went to one of the card shops at the mall, and I had a couple of those card boxes full of WotC hollows, everything.
Right.
Went in there to go sell them, and that's not worth anything these days. He was really like, "You're wasting my time right now," and he like. Very insulting, and I know my dad got a little mad, but we left. We left with the cards, and 20 years later, still had them. So
you see that?
It was a blessing.
Well, remember your parents and everybody's parents. They were all kids once too, and collection is 99% memories. Collecting is 99% memories. And I mean, I had my memories as a kid. I was born in 1954. And so I grew up, with my sports heroes and that, and those things still bring me a lot of joy. And I still have cards from back then. And I'll tell you one other story. I love my dad, but one thing I didn't like was that when the Beatles became popular in 1963 in the United States, all of us loved the Beatles.
Yeah.
And my dad would call them drugstore cowboys. and drugstore cowboys playing their guitars, and that, in other words, in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
I told myself back then, and I was only like 8 years old. I said, when I have kids, I'm going to love everything they do. So, and I went with that. I started having kids, and I participated in their sports. I participated in their music, even though I don't get rap, much myself. They loved it. Yeah. And so I got into it with them, because I remember how bad I felt as a kid having the Beatles called drugstore cowboys, so, with all the things that came, in other words, things that we loved when we were younger. As parents, we want to support the kids. So today the kids are, totally into Pokemon. Support, you as parents, support your kids in that, because it's a good, positive, thing that's going to benefit them. Doesn't matter financially, memory wise, that's going to benefit them in the times they spend with you as the parents. Are memories they're never going to forget. I remember that one line from my dad when I was 8 years old, right? I'm 66. I remember that one line. Well, listen, I also remember the good things and the good lines and the good participations. So enjoy your collections and make sure your kids and participate in their collections, even if you're not a Pokemon person.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you think it's as big today as it was in 99? I know number-wise probably, but it felt like in 99, that's all it was. There was Pokemon. It feels like there's so much today that you don't go into, well, there aren't bookstores anymore really, but you don't go into a bookstore and you don't see 100 kids sitting out with binders and stuff. How do you gauge where it's at today?
Well, back there with these new sets that are released and everything, they try to make enough, because they can kind of anticipate the demand. And back in the early part of 1999, Wizards of the Coast didn't have much to go on, as far as anticipating, demand. Yeah. And so I can't tell you how many drives I took out of state. I was living in Southern California. How many drives I took into Nevada, into Utah, into Arizona, looking for Pokemon, looking for packs and boxes, and how many shows I went to. If you were on the East Coast, you couldn't find first edition based Pokemon. They never made it there. So in other words, Wizards of the Coast there was more demand than they expected. And to give you a little thing that happened because of that, the initial release of first edition base was supposed to be 10% of the total run. So 10% first edition base, 90% unlimited. Yeah. With the shadowless just sprinkled in, there for other reasons. Well, they ended up having to reprint the unlimited base. So instead of first edition being 10% of the run, it was a much, much smaller percentage. I don't know how many times they reprinted, but maybe took it down to 2-3% of the run was first edition base. In other words, you just couldn't find them. You couldn't get the cards. So there was a real frenzy because of a lack of supply. I think today is a little bit different, because now they print the crap out of those sets, Hidden Fates, and they just print them like crazy, and so there's a lot more available to fit the demand, and there's still more demand, so percentage wise, I would say it's there's more people into it now because you're into it. I'm into it. Our kids are into it. Everybody's into it. Whereas in 1999, there was the Pokemon games and TV show, and so it was just the younger people that were into it. So I'd say it's more popular now, but there was a bigger frenzy then.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think today's cards, say the shiny Charizard, already way over 1,000 PSA 10s, probably 2,000 by the time PSA gets through all their stuff?
Right.
Is that gonna have the same kind of course as the early cards, you think?
I think it'll take longer for any of the premium cards today.
Yeah.
It'll take longer. It'll take longer for them to really show, collectible increases in value in that. But do I think it'll get there? Absolutely. It always does. Not with Pokemon, but with everything I've collected. And I have storage lockers that you would just be shocked of the stuff I have in those storage lockers, from every collectible trading card in the last 50 years.
Wow.
I mean, I think for sure I think for sure that as long as they keep printing these sets, young people keep enjoying them, and we keep collecting them, completing the sets.
Yeah.
I add on another 2 decades onto that, and that's how long the hobby is guaranteed to be successful. So 20 years from today, the hobby is safe, and it's probably much longer than that. It'll probably go on longer.
Do you what I think though is maybe the high-end collectors 20 years in the future, maybe 30 years in the future,
Mm-hmm.
whenever the kids today are established in their careers.
Right.
The only difference I think though is that they'll probably be wanting the original ones, even if they didn't grow up with them. I think they're going to maybe, as far as high dollar, I think they're going to skip past the shiny Charizard and try to get that base set, or hopefully these catch on. Like people
Mm-hmm.
spend $3,000 on a Burning Shadows, but there's only like 20 of these ever graded. The first, I think, the first ever, and they're spending, besides buying stuff like that, they're buying the Burning Shadows, which I'm kind of all over the place right now. But
no, but I think you're right to the extent that it's going to be a lot easier to get these cards from today because they're trying to fill the need. They're producing runs that'll fill the need. So those are going to be available, but and that's going to be these kids' nostalgia there. But with every single collectible that ever came out, once you get into it, you want those that preceded your nostalgia.
Yeah.
For me, I love the T206 from the early 1900s, the baseball cards. I mean, my dad wasn't born then, right? But those are amongst the originals. People are going to want the originals. People are going to want cards that are outside of their nostalgia years.
Yeah.
So I absolutely, because it happens every time. So I have to say you're totally right, because never does something get popular on your nostalgia years and the ones before that fade into oblivion. That never happens. Maybe the whole hobby, like ALF cards, will fade into oblivion.
See, I don't even know what that is. So yeah.
I know, right? Maybe those will fade into the whole series will fade into oblivion on some of those type things. But you take stuff like Pokemon or baseball cards, those won't. And the earliest sets, you're gonna collect all of those from your era. Then you're going to collect those from the 1990s, and then you're going to collect those Thompsons and maybe some Bandais and Medjais, and then you're going to collect those. Now, you weren't around then. You weren't around when the Medjais were coming in cookie boxes in that. But you have already collected what you've wanted, and you're going to go back and get those originals. So the 10-year-old today, at some point, is going to want to get their hand on that card you have there.
Yeah.
On your blue back no number. I guarantee you, there's a 10-year-old today who's going to want that card tomorrow.
Is there anything you want to tell everybody while you're here? Like anything? My wife made me write some bullet points. She said, "You're going to do an interview with Gary. You got to have bullet points." But we kind of just went. Is there anything you feel that isn't being discussed, or is there anything that you're not liking that you're seeing in the hobby today? Or
this community, the Pokemon community, all the way from the very beginning, is just absolutely unbelievable. These are.
It was a more heartfelt show than a lot of the other shows. So
yes,
I feel like people that got involved with it are good people. I feel like
not only good people but smart people. I run into more brilliant people that I talk to and I've met through Pokemon than anything else. These were smart kids. They're good, smart adults. They're accomplished people in general, right?
Yeah.
So, these are, I don't know, a lot of people say, nerdy types and stuff like that, which many years ago was a negative. Now it's a positive. Sure. Because the accomplishment and the focus that trait has, is so huge. So if you ask me what are my 3 biggest negatives today about Pokemon, I just would have trouble coming up with them to be substantial in any way. I used to feel pack weighing packs and that were to the destruction of the hobby, that it really hurt the hobby. And I had to come around on that because everybody started doing it. And so who am I, right, to say what's right or what's wrong with so many reasons. So in other words, there were times I saw some things that I thought were negatives, and it turned out they they really weren't. They're just life, the way hobbies change. And that I got a lot of negativity when I showed some of my secrets, like opening up base boxes, how I used to open them with slits and keeping the wrapping all intact over the box. And people telling me that, well, you shouldn't show everybody, that you do that, because now they know how to scam other people and things like that. I said, listen, I show that because that's the best way to keep the box clean, to keep it as a display piece, to keep it nice. And I'm not going to change that just because some people can, take advantage of information and try to scam other people, and that you're always going to have those scammers. But there's not a lot, and you got to know what to look for. I get messages every day asking for advice on how to avoid traps and things like that, and I'm always happy to help. So I don't think there is much negative to even discuss.
I feel the same way.
And can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Content creators. The content creators for Pokemon are amongst the most marvelous people that I have ever met. And I'm talking about Loot Box and Leon Hart and Michael Unlisted Leaf and the Pokeju, and I mean all these guys are amongst the absolute most sensitive, hard workers, innovative people I've ever met. We're doing a charity. We have a charity drive coming in December, and every single one of the 16 of the top content creators are contributing towards it. I can't say much about that because it's going to be an absolute monster.
Nice.
But it's going to take a lot of work by 16 of the top Pokemon content creators. And yet they're all, we have our own little separate Instagram, chat room. And if you read the comments, it's to benefit autism. That's close to a lot of our hearts. with family members and friends. And I mean, if you read the comments, by Rusty, by TCA Gaming and Scott Pratt, SM Pratt, and I mean, there's 16 in the thing. I can't remember all of them right now. But if you heard the comments from these people, it's so heartwarming that I mean, I'm so proud to be a part of that, and I say that so sincerely. And I'm not a sensitive type guy, but I got to tell you something. It's so heartwarming, what this community is, and what and who the content creators are. It's just a great thing to be a part of.
It is, and it was amazing to have you here, Gary.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's nice to be here with you.
And is there anything people can do to help towards the charity, or will
there is, and they are going to be doing it. When you see, they're going to be helping in droves. When I get it all released, I'll show you a little sneak peek of something. Okay. Without explanation, because it's. I say I want to so badly talk about it, but I'm just going to show you a sneak peek of something, and just leave it to the imaginations for now. You see, Lee Steinfeld, Leon Hart. We're involved in a charity for NAMI, for the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and it's a yearly thing that Lee puts on, and that's going on right. Plus, our friend Nick in Canada. That charity is going on right now, and it'll be going on. And we didn't want to conflict with each other, with each one, even though Leon Hart is involved in both. But I'm going to show you a little something. It's not going to tell you anything, I don't think, but just to give you an idea. Okay, hold on. Okay, it has something to do with this. And something to do with all 16 of the content creators are involved. It's something to do with these posters. So this is here. I'll show you this. Let's see. Yeah, but you're gonna see. You're gonna see what. All I can tell you is that
I'm not going to guess out loud. I'm going to.
Yeah, there's going to be 16 people in the Pokemon world internationally that are going to have a connection with 16 of the top content creators in the world, including New Zealand and Australia, and so anyway, that's just a little sneak peek, and you'll see when the time comes. It's just going to be tremendous.
Fantastic. Well, that I think that's a good note to end on. And
good.
I loved having you here, man. It was a pleasure to actually talk to you. And,
yeah. Well, thanks for reaching out. And like I think I've said before, let's do it again a year from now, and see how we did on our prognostications and such. We'll see how stupid I look, and on how wrong I was with stuff. But let's do it again in a year, and we'll do a flashback.
Yeah, cut it together. Yeah.
There you go.
Very cool. All right, thank you so much, Gary, and have a great night, man.
Talk to you real soon.
All right, you as well. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.